going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to the Morning View once again. Solo this morning. Flex is out on assignment. But you've got me for the next hour. And I'm a little bit late because I was just reading an article from Samuel Lucas from the Manchester Evening News about Marcus Rashford, which we'll get into, about how Coventry players were staggered by his poor performance at Wembley on Sunday. So that's just something else that we've got to get into this morning. We've got a jam-packed show as always. We're going to be talking about Jason Wilcox now that he started officially at Manchester United. He also was there at Wembley on Sunday. What are his tasks? His sort of first tasks have been laid out in terms of a bit of a game plan, style of play, recruitment, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to be chatting about that. Also, we're going to be talking about Disney, yes, Disney, in talks with Manchester United about a United documentary, but not a fly on the wall one that you would kind of think. Not that kind of one, not the all or nothing ones that we've seen from Amazon, but certainly still interesting stuff when it comes to that. And also, as I just mentioned, what I was just reading about was this thing about Marcus Rashford as well. So we've got a jam-packed show as always. I can see everyone filing in. I can see everyone settling in, getting whatever your morning routine or afternoon routine, I suppose, depending on where you are in the world, or evening routine. Sometimes people say it's 10 o'clock for me at night at the moment, Owen, and I'm watching and I'm tuning in from bed. Some people just getting out of bed, some people with their cups of coffee, some people on their way to work, some people with a day off, some people on their way to the gym, some people in the gym, some people working from home. Everyone's doing something at this period of time, and we're all together watching this show here on UV. So big up to everyone. I can see everyone in the chat already. Mark says, morning, Owen. Jedi Pyro says, good morning, Owen. Kenny Fan TV says, evening settings for me. Daniel Luciano says, 4 a.m. Yes. Red Fanatic says, good evening, Owen. Yes, this is what I mean. As I always say, it's a global community, the UV community. So big up to everyone as well. I've also, by the way, if you can just take a peek in the top right-hand corner. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because you know what happens when you make a big deal out of this. But top right-hand corner, you can see that number, 164,996. Just four subscribers, not five, four subscribers away from 165,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's achieve something this morning. You know, sometimes they say, what are you going to achieve today? You write a list. I don't know about you. I always work off a checklist for the day. Sometimes it's off my phone. Sometimes it's on a piece of paper. I like to write down what I'm going to do. And I like to write down what I want to achieve for the day, what I want to do. A bit of a tick list, a bit of a to-do list, what have you. And maybe we can achieve something this morning as well. But I'm not going to say any more about it because whenever you do that, people start unsubscribing. So yes, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and let's get the likes up as well whilst we're into it. So yes, what have we got to talk about this morning? Okay, should we start off with this? Should we start off with this Marcus Rashford thing? I think let's start off with that. We're going to start off talking about Jason Wilcox, but the Marcus Rashford stuff, as I mentioned, should really just come out in the last couple of minutes. So I do want to sort of get into this. This is from Samuel Lucas from the Manchester Evening News. And as I say, it literally just come out in, it says 8:57. So within the last sort of 10 minutes, this article has come out about Coventry's perception of Marcus Rashford's performance at Wembley on Sunday. Now, I think you and I and every Manchester United fan certainly has their feelings on Marcus Rashford's performance as well as everyone else's performance, but Rashford certainly was someone who's highlighted with being severely under par. And this is what Samuel Lucas has had to say. He said Marcus Rashford came off after Coventry City made it 3-3 in the FA Cup and was booed off by many Manchester United fans. He's also said Coventry City players were startled by how Marcus Rashford faded during the FA Cup semi-final with Manchester United. Rashford was substituted shortly before full time to boos from United supporters, and the 26-year-old walked gingerly through the mix zone when he left Wembley. It's understood Coventry players felt Rashford was easily marginalised during the second half and he could have got more involved in the game. a Coventry player actually expressed sympathy with United fans who watch Rashford, conceding his ability could have decided the contest, but that he was on the periphery. Rashford's future is uncertain as his relationship with United matchgoers appears to be broken amid his dwindling form and indiscipline this season. It says the England international has only scored 8 goals, having plundered 30 club goals last term. Rashford was disciplined by manager Erik ten Hag for attending a birthday party hours before the 3-0 Manchester derby defeat to City in October and embarking on a bender in Belfast days before United's season resumed against Newport County in January. Rashford was sarcastically cheered when he was substituted in the home games against Brentford and City in October, and a minority of Old Trafford fans booed his introduction against Chelsea in December. Diogo Dalot has also been receiving stick from United matchgoers over his constant cheerleading. Dalot usually breaks from the lineup and makes a beeline for United supporters before kickoff, but he also urged them to be more supportive during extra time against Coventry, much to the chagrin of many in attendance. Championship side Coventry recovered from 3-0 down. We know what happened. We don't need to relive it, obviously, and then it carries on with some extra nonsense. But interesting that even the Coventry players say they were shocked by it. What do I think about it? First of all, it's Samuel Lucas, right? So where does he thrive? He thrives in negativity, doesn't he? He thrives in negativity. He thrives when Manchester United are not doing very well. You know, I mean, he probably, regardless of what happened, you know, if we won 3-0, he'd have done something like Marcus Rashford's Coventry players staggered by how bad Marcus Rashford was, like almost irrespective of the result. The Dalot thing I thought was a bit weird. This is the thing with Samuel Lucas articles as well. So like in that, you're talking about Marcus Rashford and then it just takes a left-hand turn of like, oh, and by the way, Diogo Dalot, fans weren't happy with him. What? What was that about? The Rashford thing, Coventry players were startled by how he faded. Manchester United fans, I suppose they're not startled by how he faded. Never really started in the game, really, did he? Yes, he started in terms of the starting 11, but he never really got going at all. So, does it really tell us anything we don't know? You know, it's a bit like... Minna brought up a good point yesterday on the Full View with the story about Bruno and Rasmus Højlund and Diogo Dalot and picking sides and a falling out and the staff saying, oh, figure it out between yourselves, like, because it was a game against Copenhagen. And you go, wait a minute, that was back in October. Like, that one feels like it's been saved, put in the back pocket, we'll wait until a later date kind of scenario. You know what I mean? Sometimes things happen, and this is the thing in life, particularly in a squad game, in a team game like football. There are interpersonal fallouts. There are interpersonal disagreements. They happen. At work, there are people you might fall out with or you might not get on with. You just kind of have to get on with it. You make up, or if you don't make up, you remain professional and you do your job, don't you? But the fact that that happened in October and it was kept in the back pocket for, let's wait. There'll be a time when we can put this out. We could put it out immediately because it's just happened immediately. No. We'll wait. We'll wait until a later date. We'll wait until the right time. We'll wait until Manchester United are even more vulnerable than they are now, because we were vulnerable at the time, but we were still in, I think at that point, we were still in the Champions League. So like, no, let's wait. Let's wait until it gets really bad. When will it get really bad? Come sort of April, May. When you get to the sort of squeaky bum time. We'll wait until then, and that'll be the right time. So that story was kind of like a bit eye-rolling. This one with Marcus Rashford, the Coventry players were surprised how poor he was. Maybe because they've not been watching him every week. I mean, it's not really a surprise. Marcus Rashford played badly against Coventry. Well, if you watch the game, you would have seen that. If you've watched Manchester United this season, you would have seen that. And that's not an excuse for it. It's just the reality. He's been fundamentally poor. He's been really, really bad. I've tried my best to kind of mentally move on from that game at the weekend, because the more you dwell on it, the more angry you get about it and you work yourself back up again. But how Marcus Rashford lasted as long on the pitch as he did is staggering, because he was really, really bad. and seemingly by him hobbling out through the mix zone after the game, he got taken off largely because of an injury. Not because of his performance. Now, there is a press conference coming up later today. It's going to be interesting to see what the team news is for tomorrow's game against Sheffield United, because there is a game tomorrow. Amid all of the sort of fallout of what was very close to be a cataclysmic collapse at Wembley, there is another Premier League game against the side we should be beating comfortably at home. But we also have all of these people out through injury. It looked like, again, Rashford, he got injured on Sunday. I think, wasn't there a thing about McTominay, him hobbling off as well? So the team news is going to be really interesting. But Marcus Rashford, or the Coventry players being shocked by Rashford performances, maybe they just haven't been watching him enough. Maybe we're on the TV enough, but I suppose usually Coventry are busy on a Saturday or a Sunday, so maybe they haven't seen Rashford's performances. But certainly, I don't think it was a shock to many United fans, because it's been poor. I suppose a bit like the entire result and a bit like the entire performance, it just felt like a bit of a new low, really, didn't it? So, yeah, I don't know what. It's like a story, isn't it? Certainly, but yeah, it was just interesting as it came out just before we went live. We were at nearly 900 people watching, which is fantastic this early on to the show. Be sure to click the like button and be sure to subscribe as well. A super chat here from Amanor says, "Owen, I struggle to understand Marcel. He needs help." You know what? I was thinking about this last night as well, with the full view, and I understand sometimes people haven't watched it yet, so I won't give obviously spoilers away, which feels crazy to say that spoilers. But I was thinking about this last night because you see the sort of comments on the video, or you see the live chat whilst you're live, or you see social media. And yes, I'm going to talk about social media and comments or whatever, which even that annoys people. It's very, very odd where we're at the moment. But, for instance, someone like Marcel, I disagree with a lot of his opinions, particularly at the moment when it pertains to the manager and what have you. But he's allowed to have them. Everyone's allowed to have them. Everyone's allowed to feel the way that they want to feel. Everyone's allowed to say, well, actually, I view it kind of this way, and then they back it up, or they have their perception as to why, and that's cool. What I have seen, particularly over the last sort of 48 hours, and I think this is kind of when you realise that maybe you're on a bit of like the sort of right path of it, is like people just start throwing insults at each other. It's crazy. Like, I can say to Marcel, well, I don't necessarily disagree with that, or you said this, and I actually think this, and when you said this, what do you mean by this? And you can probe, but the moment you start going, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, or you're a bad person. I've seen that as well. You're a bad. I used to like you. I used to like you, but then you said something about a football manager or a football player that I disagreed with, and now you're a terrible person. What? That is nuts. And we are so, it's almost ironic that we're called Manchester United, isn't it? Because we're far from it. We're far from United. We are entirely divided at the moment, and we just start bickering at ourselves, don't we? We start going at each other. And then eventually, and this is what's wild about it, eventually it stops becoming about football. It's so weird. It's like it's about this player, this manager, and then like 5 minutes later it's, you're an idiot, I don't like the way you look, I don't like the way you smile, and you go, where did we go? When did it stop? What happened? Or this is even the weird, more wild one. You didn't say what I wanted you to say, so I'm telling you, you've got to say something else. This is the whole in and out. The in and out, like, focus or hyperbole is so crazy as well. Just say Erik ten Hag in. Just say Erik ten Hag out. Okay, so if I say it, is that going to make everything else I've said like mean more? Is that going to make everything else feel? Is it going to make you feel better? Like, is that what it's going to be? Like, it's so odd. I mean, we're fans at the end of the day, aren't we? We're fans. We're engaging with each other in football opinion about the football club that we love, that we support, or even if you're not a Man United fan, just about football, the sport that you love. And it's very odd, but I suppose nowadays, unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Amanor says Marcel went to a Coventry player, which was worrying. That's what I mean. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I don't think the Coventry player particularly give too much of a fuss. He probably just looked at Marcel and went, okay. you know, I don't. It's not something I would do. The same way that Anthony with the cupping of the ears. I don't. That's not for me. I didn't like that. I've seen people try to justify it. I don't think there's really any kind of justification for it, to be honest. Even if the whole, he did it first. The other player did it first. Don't be rattled by a Championship Coventry side. You're Manchester United. Come on. We scraped through and won that game on pens. We're not in the position to be cupping our ears or anything like that, regardless of who did it first. Let's not get rattled by it. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Jason Wilcox, because there's quite a few quotes from this article from The Telegraph about Jason Wilcox from James Ducker. Now, it starts off talking about Julian Nagelsmann, which is quite interesting as well, because it's talking about how maybe, and then this might go into the favour, I suppose, of Erik ten Hag, that Manchester United don't want to make too much of a sweeping change when it comes to a different, I guess, profile or tactical style of a coach. So James Ducker has said, Julian Nagelsmann has featured highly on Manchester United's shortlists in the past, and even now there is great admiration for him. However, even before he extended his contract, there was a recognition among the hierarchy that the current squad is not set up for a coach who often deploys a back three and open wing backs that attack, which again is very interesting because it's kind of two sides of the argument, isn't it? It's two sides of the argument. It's okay, maybe Manchester United would be open to a change, but there is a recognition that that change with the current playing squad couldn't be too sweeping, because if it is too sweeping, there wouldn't really be any tangible results, which again, I think is quite curious. It continues on when it talks about what Jason Wilcox is going to have to be doing and his first kind of tasks, saying Manchester United realise they cannot swing wildly from one system to another just to fit a coach such as Julian Nagelsmann for all his talents, and certainly not when they have yet to even begin the process of gradually unpicking a Frankenstein squad. They realise they must settle on a way of playing they believe they can deliver winning, attacking, entertaining football, and then ensure the coach chimes firmly with that, which again would maybe lead one to believe that maybe they are going to wait before making a decision on the coach. Maybe they're going to figure out their style of play first. Can that fit with this current group of players? Then make a decision on the coach. It continues by saying Manchester United want to establish a clearly defined game model, a cohesive playing style and identity that breaks the cycle of incoherent hiring and flawed squad building. Technical director Jason Wilcox has been tasked with implementing that vision. Technical director Jason Wilcox has been tasked with implementing an overarching playing vision for Manchester United so as to ensure recruitment is no longer of the scattergun variety, but anchored towards a specific methodology, identity, and style of play. So I think it's a really interesting article. It's a really interesting thing that's being written there by James Ducker from The Telegraph, because it maybe would lead one to believe that Erik ten Hag maybe is safer than other reports would suggest. Because when you read that, it would appear that they're sort of going, well, we need to define what our style of play is going to be first. We need to define what our long-term strategy is. We need to define what our recruitment strategy is. I could argue it's a bit alarming that that's not thought about yet, but I suppose for all of the people that are coming in, it's only technically Jason Wilcox that's actually through the door right now. And this is kind of what I was saying before. My opinion hasn't really changed since the weekend about it, about the whole situation. I still say rip it all up. I still say the players need to go, and again, that's not being broad. That's saying there's going to be a lot in the summer, obviously, because contracts are coming up and people have got a year left. But I'm talking again, those big sort of tentpole players. We spoke about them earlier, Marcus Rashford, even a Bruno Fernandes. all of them, I don't know if I can see long-term sustained Manchester United success until there's been a complete cultural, player and staffing reset at Manchester United. Now, we've already seen the beginnings of it at an executive level with a new chief executive, a new technical director in the door. Hopefully, Dan Ashworth gets resolved fairly quickly. There have been rumblings about that. But the other parts of it are going to take longer. And maybe that means that people are going to be staying a bit longer. Maybe that means Erik ten Hag's going to be staying for an extra season because Ineos do think, well, we don't think the right candidate is out there right now. So until the right candidate appears, we're going to stick with what we've got. But from what I saw at the weekend, I just think that, again, everyone for me is culpable. Everyone has to share some form of accountability for what's happening this season, because I don't think there's one single point of failure. I think there's multiple points of failure. I think it is on the players. I do think it is on the manager and the coaching staff. I think it is on the medical department. I think it is on sins of the past in terms of recruiting, that we're stuck with these players that we've got. So there are all of these different points of failure. I don't subscribe to the theory that when we win a game, it's purely because of Erik ten Hag's genius tactics. And when we lose a game, it's because of the shitty players. I don't think it's binary like that. And I'm kind of tired of the excuses of all that kind of stuff. I'm tired of, after the weekend, of some of the just bizarre sort of comebacks as to why that was acceptable to blow a 3-0 lead. Or, reasons why. Maybe not acceptable, but reasons why we blew a 3-0 lead. Well, Coventry scored goals and, these players collapse, this, that. It's not the first time we've seen it this season. It's happening over and over and over again. And everyone should accept some form of accountability and culpability for poor performances and poor results. So I still do stick by that everyone needs to go, but I'm firmly aware, because you have to live in reality, that not everyone can go at once. So I think when you say rip it up, get rid of everyone, the initial reaction is, well, you can't get rid of everyone over one summer. What are you talking about? Well, of course you can't. Of course you can't get rid of everyone over one summer. Who would you have left? You wouldn't have anyone else left. But I think there has to be, the cards are marked. Cards are marked on a lot of people there. Not everyone, because you've got people like Kobbie Mainoo, you've got people like Alejandro Garnacho who you want to build around for the future. But a lot of people are just not up to snuff at Manchester United, and Manchester United needs to be better. Now, whilst that process is going on, kind of what that article is hinting at from James Ducker from The Telegraph there, maybe it's going to be a thing where they, with Ten Hag, that they go, well, we want to establish some principles first. We want to establish a style of play we want to see. We want to establish some new targets to see if Ten Hag can hit first. That's maybe what they want to do. Maybe, and there has been those reports that suggest that one of the factors with Erik ten Hag's future is that, on the market at the moment, maybe there isn't that kind of coach that's available already that they're looking for. I know there's been lots of talk, particularly there was yesterday, I saw Christian Falk say that, the Tuchel wants United, and there are some in Ineos that want Thomas Tuchel, and I think that's a bit of it's not the first time we've heard that, because I think Thomas Tuchel really wants a job in the Premier League. I think his agent is very much putting things out there that he wants to come back to the Premier League, and there aren't a plethora of top Premier League jobs that are going to be available. Obviously, we know the Liverpool job's available, but I don't think he goes there. I think he wants the Manchester United job. I don't know how many people in Manchester United necessarily want him. What I will say with Thomas Tuchel is, and this is when it gets into, again, that sort of that tribalistic part, is I've seen a lot of people trying to put down his record or what, like he hasn't done anything in football, which is frankly bizarre. Has it worked out at Bayern Munich? No, it hasn't worked out at Bayern Munich. That's fair to say, particularly this season. They've been blown away by Bayer Leverkusen, but who hasn't in the Bundesliga been blown away by Bayer Leverkusen? Have they even lost a game this season? Not in the Bundesliga, certainly. There's sirens in the chat. There's a strong chance that they could go on and do an unprecedented sort of treble that's unbeaten of their own. It's incredible. Whereas you look at his career, even the Chelsea one, people will go, well, he was let go from Chelsea. And you go, and this is a strong parallel to Ten Hag at Manchester United at the moment. The Chelsea thing, the Chelsea thing fell apart because Clearlake came in, and the positive relationship Tuchel had with the sporting directors there, Petr Cech and others, they were removed. Those people left their jobs, and he didn't get on with the new owner. And the new owner wanted to bring their guy in. Obviously, at PSG was an interesting one. He got him to a Champions League final. He won the league 2 years in a row, which is no mean feat, obviously, with PSG, the expectation. And when he got sacked, that was during the season where they replaced him with Poch and they didn't win the league. So you could argue, would he have even won the league that season? Would that have been a failure as well? And then obviously he won the Champions League with Chelsea. So would he be my choice to come into Manchester United? No, probably not. I don't think he's the right fit. And as we spoke about earlier on, like that article said, he can be one of those people that shifts to like a back three, or shifts to, he can pivot between formations. And you could argue, is this squad capable of it? Maybe not. I don't know if he's the right fit. I think it's largely coming from his agent. But it is funny to see people sort of play down his record like he's never won anything. What's he won? Champions League. Well, what else? What else has he done? Well, he did get to the final of the Champions League as well with PSG. What else? Well, won league with PSG. Anyone could do that. Okay. Last season, look, Bayern Munich didn't work out at all. Again, he was very fortunate to win the Bundesliga last season. They completely bottled it, and it was only because Dortmund couldn't win a game at home on the last day of the season. But there's always an asterisk over stuff, isn't there? There's always an asterisk over any achievement that, it's not actually that. It's not actually that. And look, it's the same with Eric, isn't it? They do the same with Eric Ten Hag. What's he won? The Eredivisie. Anyone can win the Eredivisie with Ajax. Okay. He got to the Champions League semi-final with Ajax. He didn't get to the final though, did he? He hasn't won it. What's he won? So we're in that territory again where we're like, we do what have they won? And then if they have won stuff, it didn't really count because it wasn't to our taste. That's what it's really like, isn't it? It's like if we got like Allegri from Juventus, won all the Serie A's with Juve. Yeah, but at the time they were always winning it, so it doesn't really count. It doesn't really count. You could argue with Tuchel. He does have a history of fallouts with the people above him, certainly as well, which you could argue, is that what you want to build your new structure on? But again, I would recommend to read more into those fallouts. People just see fallouts, but again, for me, it's I'm not on the Tuchel. I'm not on the Tuchel train or anything like that. But I do think it is funny. I do think it's very funny. They won the Champions League. Don't really count that, does it? It was coming out of COVID, so it doesn't really count. You beat Man City in the final. Well, doesn't really, So it doesn't really count. And also, there's this other weird thing now, isn't there? There's this other strange thing where if you've been sacked from a job, then you should never get another job. that to me is also another wild one too, isn't it? He got sacked. He's been sacked at other jobs. So I don't know about that. Regardless of what decision we come to, whether it's keep Ten Hag, whether it's replace him, and then whoever the replacement is, there is going to be immediately a lot of people shitting all over their record. Any accomplishments they've done aren't good enough. So it's the same with Ten Hag here at the moment, isn't it? He's got positive records. I think he still has, doesn't he, have the highest win percentage of any United manager? Is that right? So people point to that, and then people point to, but then look at these negative records. Or people point to the fact that now 3 finals in 2 years, they point to that and they'll go, but how many trophies were won? Or they'll go, he won a trophy in his first year. How many, that's good going as well. And then people go, but it's only the League Cup. Like, it's just, we're back into the bickering, aren't we again? We're back into the bickering, and we're back into, I think, not objectively looking at achievements or accomplishments and criticisms for what they are. But for me, like I said, the Tuchel stuff is not really that. But going back to the article regarding Jason Wilcox and his tasks and what have you, he's not going to be alone. He's got his. It's difficult to do it when you're by yourself. Wait a minute.
Good morning. Good show.
Big up to Nubian Pharaoh. Usually, if there's two of us, I can kind of Flex can fill the time and I can pivot. When you're by yourself, you have to click this and you have to make sure you get it on. But I like. Is there any more we should add to that Nubian Pharaoh entrance? I feel like there is more we could add to it. You know what I mean? I feel like there's more we could maybe put into it. You know, more. I don't know if we need. How would the fireworks work when I'm by myself? I feel like I'm in a very close territory to breaking stuff here. But let's see what happens. Now, what even is the fireworks? Is it this one? Maybe it needs to be more like that. You know, WrestleMania kind of. All that. Maybe he does need his own theme song. I'm not sure. I can just keep pressing a load of sounds that we could do something. We can do something like that. Certainly Nubian Pharaoh is not this.
Poor, and I mean poor.
Definitely not, Kenny. Definitely not. I did realize this recently is I don't have a lot of like positive sound effects. My soundboard is incredibly negative. Incredibly negative. So I probably need to fix that as to more positive stuff on there. I can do that. Maybe. Or maybe Nubian, just let us know. Nubian, I mean, you can pick your own entrance. What kind of entrance would you like? You know, maybe it'll be something different. Maybe it's something a bit more unique. Yeah, so Nubian Pharaoh, let us know. Let us know what kind of entrance you would want. Yeah. Your soundboard reflects you, Owen. It's very true. It's true. Usually it's in it's in reaction to sort of bad moments. I was just looking on here. It's very much.
He's crying in his car.
Absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful.
I'm noticing as well. I'm getting a lot of Kenny sounds recently.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
And they're all from the little bits of the show. It sounds like he's literally got into like a booth and recorded that. But I love the Kenny sound effects. They're the best. I'm going to play another one. There you go.
Absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful. Poor, and I mean poor.
Big up Kenny. I love him. I love Kenny. Where are we at in terms of likes? We've got close to 1,200 people watching, which is fantastic. We're only at 240 likes. Let's see if we can get those likes up, particularly for a solo show. We're almost halfway to hitting 500. So let's see if we can get to 500 likes, close to 250. I have, by the way, for people mentioning it, and I'm not even, you might not even know what I'm going to be talking about here. All I will say is I've noticed. All I will say is I've noticed. That's it. I've noticed. We'll wait till the end of the show. Javid says Mertens. Yeah, I do. I want to get that. I want to get Mertens. If I can, I'm going to try. It's very difficult because I don't want to put any pressure on him. So he might say it in the show. Maybe. He might say it in the show, and then I'm just going to have to clip it. I'm going to have to just find a little bit, clip it. That one might be difficult, perhaps. So we shall see. But big up Kenny, big up Kenny. But yes, just to round up on the Wilcox stuff. This is just what it's going to be like now, isn't it? The moment that Jason Wilcox deal was done, and the moment that statement came out, effective immediately, we did the stream, didn't we? Flex and myself talking about what was going to happen now, and we were going to hear more of these stories, weren't we? About him doing audits, him having meetings with Ten Hag, him talking to players, talking to staff members. I mean, again, today with the press conference, it's going to be interesting to see if Ten Hag's asked about that and asked about if he's already spoken to him, what meetings he's going to have, etc., etc., etc. So stay tuned, certainly, for that. That's going to be interesting. Just also on Dan Ashworth. You're right, the lights should go out, shouldn't they? We should have something that I can just black screen or something. Yeah, I'll do it again.
The choice is yours, Owen. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, we'll have a think. I think we're on the right lines. Where we're at the moment. But as always, good is not good enough. We can do more. We can do better. We can do bigger. So I think people are right. People, maybe we need, we need something like, oh, this is good. I like this, Joe Blackman. I like that. A black screen and then a pharaoh behind you would be elite. Yeah, something like that. Or like black screen and then there's just a pharaoh on it or something, like a flash. There should be, now the creativity, the juices are flowing. Now I'm liking this, because someone said thunder and lightning effects. Yes, there should be something like the gong, a black screen, total black screen, the pharaoh pops up, and then there's lightning and all this kind of stuff behind. And then we get the super chat up beneath and read it out like that with no one else on the screen with a deep voice. Oh, now I'm liking this. Now I'm like it with dry ice. Yes, I'm liking this with smoke. We'll make a whole thing. we'll make a whole screen with all of this, with fire, with lightning. Josh, if you're watching, we've got to have conversations. We've got to have a meeting. Because we can do more. We can do bigger. It's going to have to be massive. It's going to have to be huge. Yes, it's going to get bigger. So it's strobe lights. Yeah. Lilio, you're right. We're going all out. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I like that a lot. Big up Nubian Pharaoh. Big up to everyone getting involved in that as well. Yes. With Chalaboy Comics says with flex screaming, it's all going off in the background. I don't even know what's happened to that sound effect. I genuinely don't know. That was on KG Soundboard. I think I did have the sound that I gave to KG. This was pre my soundboard. I don't know what happened to that one. I've got to find it.
Come on, Josh.
I tell you what, we're going into production. We're going into production today. I usually, and this is a peek behind the curtains at UV, yeah, I'll give Josh a list of stuff. I'll make crazy demands. I need this. We need this. And now it's going to be, Josh, we need some kind of sort of animated graphic of a black screen with the Undertaker's gong, and then a pharaoh appears, and then lightning and smoke and fire, and then we'll put the super chat up on there. Yes, you got no choice. There's been an investment in it. As well. Terrific. Big up Nubian Pharaoh as well. This is what's great about UV. You never know what you're gonna get. you never know what you're gonna get. Round the corner. Terrific. Big up. Where are we at? I'm completely lost. Oh yes, I do want to talk about this thing about Disney and Manchester United. A Disney documentary. Very interesting. This is coming from The Athletic this morning. Saying that Manchester United are in discussions with US entertainment platform Disney with a view to striking a multi-million-dollar deal to create documentaries about the club. According to sources familiar with the talks, speaking anonymously due to their confidential nature, the production would focus on the club's era of success under legendary coach Sir Alex Ferguson, a 26-year period in which United won 38 trophies, including 13 Premier League titles, 2 Champions League trophies, and 5 FA Cups. The club and the Disney Plus streaming service are in talks over a documentary over a proposal that would include substantial interview time with Ferguson, who is now age 82. United would also provide access to the club archive footage, as well as insight from club ambassadors such as former captain Brian Robson and iconic keeper Peter Schmeichel, who could help convey the secrets of United's success under Ferguson. It also says both Ferguson and his former players would need to formally agree to the project, which remains in its conceptual stage. It is expected that United would retain editorial oversight of any project, as has been the case for many documentaries involving European football clubs. A deal has not yet been finalised, as United continue to hold out for improved terms. The current proposal is in the low seven figures, and Disney's offer made this year is lower than the terms the company originally offered United when they first engaged on the matter a couple of years ago. But if you're wondering if this is going to lead to some kind of or like all or nothing thing like they do with Amazon Prime, Manchester United don't hold out too much hope, because it says Disney's conversations with United have not extended to a proposal for a live blow-by-blow access during a season, and the club do not currently have plans for a more contemporary film that would allow supporters a peek behind the curtain. And you know what, with that, I say good. I don't want to see the behind the scenes going on at Manchester United today, because it would just be absolutely embarrassing, wouldn't it? It would just be, and I think even United know, right? Even United know we can't have footage of that. We just no. It would be too bad. You do that documentary when you're a half well-run club. You know, there's a reason they've done those documentaries on like Man City or Liverpool. Or anything like that. Because you look at it and you look at it from, you know, admiration, or you look at it when you go, oh right, okay, this was behind the scenes of their success. This was behind the scenes when they were doing well. Behind the scenes of Manchester United finishing 7th or 8th. It would be. I mean, look, it'd be fascinating to watch, obviously, wouldn't it? It'd be fascinating to see just how bad it is and just all of this kind of stuff. But it would live in infamy, wouldn't it? And there's only the negative involved in that, really. You know, the only positive would be the money. And I think United are looking at it like they're looking at it now, where they're like, well, we can get money and not do that. We can do the documentary about Sir Alex Ferguson and his tenure, his legacy, which, to be honest, watching it would probably make me feel the same way that I do when I watch any old Man United match now. When, you know, like sometimes you'll be flicking through the channels, maybe on Sky or something like that, and there'll be Premier League Years, which is still one of my favourite programmes. I love Premier League Years, and if you don't know what that show is, basically it's a Sky programme, and they usually last for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they just give like the story of a particular Premier League season. It could be any Premier League season, and they go through month by month by month. They go through the sort of stories happening in the league, transfers, incidents, goals. They show sort of match footage, they show interview footage, and they kind of tie it in with world events at the time. Like, it is so good. And even now, like the newer ones they do aren't as good as the older ones. The older ones they do of like the 90s and the 2000s that were made, ironically, in the 90s and the 2000s are like brilliant. They are so good to watch. But whenever I watch them now, I just get sad. I just get really, really sad, because you realise what Manchester United used to be, and you realise how good we used to be too. Because you watch these matches and you see these goals, and you see the manager do interviews, and you see all this stuff, and you see like the way that we used to operate in the transfer market, and you just go, it's so different. And I think sometimes because when it's happening just over a long period of time, day after day after day, you almost don't notice it. You don't notice the changes. You don't notice the decline in standard. Obviously, you do when you look at the table and you look at certain metrics, but it's maybe not as jarring because you're living through it. You're slowly living through it. But when it's like not seeing someone for 10 years. You see them one day, then you don't see them for 10 years, and then you see them again, and it's striking. And you go, oh my, wow, they're completely different. Or, man, that's really, I didn't expect that. But when you see them every day, you don't notice them get older or anything like that. And it's like the same with Man United. When you go back and watch this, not even, at this point, 10 years ago, we were winning the title, but I'm talking like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and you watch us play and you go, oh my God, like, we are nowhere near this. We are nowhere near, just like even the football or the way teams just couldn't get near us. It's just incredible. And you have the image in your mind, particularly if you were around back then, you have the image in your mind because you remember it. But once you actually see it on the screen again, it just makes you actually quite sad. So, it might be a bit like that. And you can imagine, can't you, with those docs talking about Fergie's years and talking about the secrets of the success. You just know that's going to be like clipped up and see, this is what's wrong with Manchester United today. This is what's wrong with these players. They don't have this mentality. And they're right, by the way. But would you watch it? Of course you would watch it. And because in the same way that you watched the David Beckham documentary and what have you, and it's fascinating. These things, if they're done properly, sports documentaries can be really a really great watch, real fun watch. And it did say in the article as well, we didn't have it up on the screen there, but it did say in the article too that part of this was for the FFP and PSR reasons, because of those limitations, because of how tight things are nowadays with PSR and FFP. They're looking for as many different revenue streams as they possibly can, and that might be one of them. If they can get Disney to pay them 7 figures to do a documentary about Sir Alex Ferguson, that could certainly help. But again, if we get any more details on that, of course, we'll let you know about that. And would you be interested in that? Would you watch that if that indeed came out? And what about one of those ones which was the fly on the wall one? I can't imagine like that. That would be just a complete disaster. Savage Jake says, no, wouldn't watch it. What else are people saying here in the chat? Jedi Pyro says we were an unstoppable force and won everything. Stephanie Griffith says those were the days as well. Savage says, still, if the club needs to generate revenue, then at least we're still getting these massive offers. LMS says Premier League years is serious. The Newcastle Kevin Keegan year was the one. Yeah, they're really good. They're really, really good. Premier League years are fantastic. Absolutely. What else I want to talk about before we wrap things up? I did, just very briefly, want to talk about Dan Ashworth. Not because it's confirmed or anything like that, but there have been some rumblings and rumours about Dan Ashworth and possibly that deal getting a bit closer, suggesting that with Newcastle getting closer on their replacement, Newcastle getting closer to deciding who they want to replace Dan Ashworth, that can open up the door for concluding negotiations with Dan Ashworth, suggesting that there might be a structured deal being agreed, but it's not really coming from anywhere concrete. It's not coming from anywhere really reputable. It's coming from, these sort of in-the-know accounts and what have you. So if we hear anything more concrete about that, we'll let you know. But I think there's definitely something rumbling there, and it'll be interesting to see what does come out in the next couple of weeks about that. And hopefully we'll see if we can get a start date on him. I would be still really surprised if he was in place for the summer, but anything's possible. Technically, Jason Wilcox did have a gardening leave. We managed to get him effective immediately. It's quite a bit different. I mean, Southampton in the Championship, Newcastle are a direct rival for us, particularly when it comes to transfer options and in the summer transfer window. And Dan Ashworth would have the keys to the kingdom. So we'll have to see with that. Common Sense TV says, Owen, it's just pissing me off. I hate watching him not talk about how bad the players are. If it's Erik ten Hag, he will spend hours talking about trash. I would recommend, Common Sense, it's in your name, to utilise it and go back to the beginning of the show where it talked about Marcus Rashford being terrible for like 10, 15 minutes. And this is where I get back to the point of earlier on, yeah? This is where I get back to the point. We are at this stage, I think, as a fan base, where we're not even hearing people anymore. We're not even hearing people. We are only hearing what we want to hear. That's all we're hearing. If I say something about, I could talk about a player for 15 minutes, but if I then talk about the manager for 15 minutes, you won't hear that first 15 that I said. You will hear the second part. And then you'll go, you're not talking about the players. And you'll go, well, we are. And that's That's the strange thing. That's the odd thing. And I just think that we're in this stage now, like I said, where we're getting into like insults, and we're getting into this stage where it's like we're no longer listening. We're no longer listening to each other. We're only hearing what we want to hear. And if someone says something that's not what they want to hear, then they're terrible. Then that's terrible. That's it. The problem is, and this would be, I guess, my kind of advice for people on social media, because sometimes you're scrolling through the feed and you see these big long threads of people going back at each other. Well, you have to kind of just sort of go, I can't do anything for you, because unless I say specifically what you want me to say, which I'm clearly not, because I'm not going to have, because we've clearly got different opinions, then you're never going to be satisfied, and that's all right. That's cool. And also, look, if it's pissing you off that much, you really, I mean, just click X. It's cool. it's fine. Yeah, I don't. It's very strange. It's very, very odd, certainly. What else is on tap for the rest of today? Well, and Lilio's right, we're spending too much time on the manager. Got to get out of the stopwatch. Got to get out of that stopwatch and talk about players and manager equally. It's like a party political broadcast. If we do 10 minutes on Labour, we've got to do 10 minutes on the Conservatives. It's only fair. It's what we got to do. It's what we got to do. Yeah, we're in that tribalistic phase. But actually, I don't know if it's necessarily a phase between, fans. I just think nowadays, like, life is quite tribalistic, isn't it? Football in general is tribalistic because you've got your team, don't you? You have your team, and now we're into the stage where it's like teams within teams. It's it's quite odd. But what's on tap for today? Well, quite a lot, actually, to answer that question. We've got Flex and KG show coming up at 7 p.m. There is going to be a preview because there's a game tomorrow. There's a game tomorrow. There's Manchester United versus Sheffield United at Old Trafford. So there's going to be a preview coming out later today. As I mentioned, there's also a press conference that's going to be happening today. So we'll see what happens with that too. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell, and you'll be notified not only when we go live, but when a new video gets uploaded and all that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, there's also, because of this game tomorrow, we'll have the morning show. Then we'll also have a full match day experience. So we'll have the road trip, we'll have the match view, which will once again be KG and myself, Mr. the Comedian, and myself. We'll be live. Kickoff's at 8, isn't it? So we'll be live at 6 for all of the pre-match and all of the team news and what have you. And hopefully a Premier League win for the first time since, March? Early March? When was that win against Everton? That game against Everton was the last Premier League win, I believe, wasn't it? When was that? 9th of March. 9th of March, and even then, gosh, before that Everton game, the last game we won, last last Premier League game we won was Luton away, 18th of Feb. Man, crazy. I'm telling you, you can't look at those results. Man United are in great form at the moment. No, we are not. We are not. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like. Be sure to subscribe. We did do it, by the way. I'll do it now. We did do it. 165,000. Big up to the UV community. There's been so many new subscribers recently. So many people getting involved, which is fantastic. Celebratory confetti, of course. So I appreciate everyone that subscribed this morning. Appreciate everyone that subscribed recently and is getting involved. All of the members, all of the moderators, everyone in the chat as well. It's all appreciated. Even if you're not even commenting, even if you're not even getting involved in the chat, you're a what I call it, a silent watcher, which there's a lot of silent watchers, a lot of people that will just have it on as background noise at work or in the gym or on their commute or as they wind down for the day, they'll just have it on. They don't get involved in the chat because some people just got life to do. Some people, that's not really their thing, is it? So 165,000 subscribers. What a round number. I don't even know what the road is, what the next road is. Is it like 170? Is that the next sort of roundish number? I suppose maybe it is. Or do we take it one at a time? 166 up next. The long road to 200k, which means that 200k means I have to leave the house and we have to have a party, which is maybe we'll take our time. Getting to that point. But big up to everyone. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Appreciate everyone that's subscribed. Stay tuned. More content on the horizon. And we'll be back very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.